What's up, everyone? This is SkyTech Freak, and today I have a very special unboxing of a shipment that I got in the mail today. And if you guys recognize the company that's on this box, you must already have some idea of what's going to be inside because RP Tech or Rashi Private Tech is actually the company that is the official distributor and supplier of Nvidia's Founder Edition cards in India. And so, what I have inside this box is actually the Nvidia RTX 3070 FE edition, the Founders Edition card. And I just wanted to say, I do have another 3070 already lying with me, and I have the box for that as well. We'll compare the two cards as well. But if you can just see the size difference, because the Founders Edition card is supposed to be the minimal spec or just basically plain minimalism as far as the cards go, and I think that's also reflected in the boxes because here's the MSI Ventus 3X, and this is supposed to be there's a Ventus 2X, which is one of the lowest models MSI has, but the Ventus 3X or the Ventus line generally isn't MSI's flagship line for graphics cards. It's one of the lower lines. In no means is it a bad performing card. This has been my main card for a few months short of a year now, and I've loved it. But as you can see, just the size of the box, even though it's not a flagship line box, it's this big. Versus when I actually got this box from RP Tech, I was like, have I actually gotten the right box? Because there's no way that the RTX 3070 or that a GPU is even in this box. If you guys are wondering how I actually managed to get my hands on it, basically I just got lucky because I signed up really early. As soon as the RTX 3070 was announced, even before I bought this RTX 3070 last year, I signed up for on RP Tech's website. And earlier they were doing these flash sales where you had to get online and quickly buy it before time ran out, and those that were lucky enough to get it would get it, similar to what phone companies popularly do that with their phones and other accessories and products. Now that they've stopped these flash sales, they're not doing them anymore. What they're doing is rolling out the option to buy the cards to everyone that had initially inquired about the cards, and so it's happening on a first come first serve basis. So just because I had inquired way back when the card was announced, I got a mail about it last week. Quickly I made the payment, obviously, because I got this card, and this card at 62,000, this is the non LHR version at 62,000 rupees. That was a fantastic deal. I've gotten this FE card at exactly MSRP, so that's 44,500 rupees, which is an insane steal of a deal, as you can imagine. But yeah, enough talking about RP Tech and the way to get the card. Let's sort of look at the box before we go in. This requires a 650 watt power supply, and we knew that already. But this one only requires one PCIe 8-pin connector, and I actually didn't think that was the case. Because the MSI Ventus 3X that I just showed you the box of, and we'll compare the two cards too, that requires two 8-pins, and I think most of the 3070 cards that I know that aren't the FE card require two 8-pins, so I just sort of assumed that the Founders Edition would also require two 8-pins, but that doesn't seem to be the case. There we go. But this is definitely the smallest GPU box I've ever seen. As you can see, some of the corners have probably just gotten a little bit smushed up in shipping, but this is what we are all here for. This beautiful Founders Edition card with those fans, minimal branding, no plastic or any sort of protection around it. A lot of times you'll also get a PCIe cover over here that prevents any damage happening, but that's also not the case here. We get these beautiful heat sinks and this amazing looking card with no unnecessary sticker in the middle like all other graphics card manufacturers do. Nvidia sort of knows that you know who's made this, and as you can see, here's that sort of 12-pin. This is what's new in the 30 series graphics cards for Nvidia's GPUs. There's this new 12-pin adapter, so there will be an adapter in the box that will allow us to put this in, and then it converts it to an 8-pin PCIe. And then you can see at the back there's that metal backplate with an exposed heatsink area. And the way these heatsinks are actually designed is they spread out heat all around the card instead of just pushing it to the backplate and then blowing it out the back. As you can see, there's also a bunch of vents over here so the hot air can come out, but it's not just over there. So it does spread all the heat to the backplate as well when it's cooling. So it'll intake cool air from here, push it to the backplate, but these fins also exhaust it onto this sort of rim. Yeah, it pushes it out to this heatsink and then it's blown out from the back. So it's a very elegant cooling solution. No other card manufacturers seem to be trying anything as innovative as this. Everyone just sort of has the normal pull in air, have a heatsink, and then push it out and then have it spread the back plate. So that's what most cards are doing. None of them are sort of doing this approach. The 3080 actually has one intake over here, and then the other one's sort of a different fan. But the 3070 has two intake fans like this. I think they must be, if we can just quickly measure. Yeah, that's right. So they're 85mm fans. That's the same as the MSI Ventus 3X. But of course, something you'll notice about Nvidia's FE cards are that it's not so easy to pull apart just the fan shroud and replace the fans, etc. if they fail. There's a huge teardown process, and it's all ribbon cables as opposed to sort of the CRJ 4-pin fan, like standard fan headers that all other graphics card companies use. I've just got the card and I'm already talking about the fans failing. Sorry guys. I'm just really excited about this. Let's put this away. Let's see what else we have in the box. There should be some documentation. So this is a little bit of a protective foam, and this is that adapter I was talking about. Everyone complains about how ugly it looks, and I'm gonna have to say that they're right, because this is really just not a good look. But as you can see here, this is what we're used to seeing, the general 8-pin PCIe connector, and then here we have the 12-pin adapter that goes into the graphics card. As I was showing you earlier, this will plug into this, and then you can plug in your 8-pin standard PCIe power cables over there. Why they've decided to make the shift, it's probably that the 12-pin can just intake more watts of electricity or something like that, that the standard is more robust, and is moving forward. Obviously, graphics cards are probably going to want more power or want more efficient power delivery. Sooner or later, we'll see PSUs sort of standardize those 12-pin connectors, and then you won't need ugly adapters like this. I know there are companies that make third-party adapters like this. I couldn't find any in India that looked any good. Like, this is probably the best looking one. Even the ones that are there, like 3,000, 4,000 rupees, which I'm just not about to spend for something like this. And then we have a support guide and a quick start guide. Neither of these things we need. And then there's some warning safety information. So that's all that's there in the unboxing, and I've already shown you the difference in the two boxes, and we've done a quick overview of the card itself. But now let's quickly compare it to my MSI Ventus 3X and just see the sheer difference in size of the cards. Now what's really strange is that you can tell that the MSI Ventus 3X, again, which I'm telling you, has dual 8-pin PCIe connectors and triple fans. So as you can see, the dual 8-pin connectors here and the triple fans over here, versus sort of just the two fans over here, and basically that strange 12-pin or that new standard 12-pin adapter that's coming here. But if you pick the two of them up, the Ventus is far lighter, or well, not far, but significantly lighter than sort of this FE card, which is pretty heavy. It's a pretty hefty and substantial card. But again, the size difference is pretty staggering if you look and if you realize that they're the same chip. I'm really excited to use this in an ITX build. So I'm going to be doing my first ITX build soon. It's going to be in an NR200p white. I'm actually going to mount this vertically because I'll be using processors that aren't going to be causing too much heat, and hopefully this fan design and this way that it dissipates heat will actually be able to keep this card cool in a vertical position. So I think this is really the best card that you can realistically fit inside an ITX build without really compromising on any sort of performance. I do know that Zotac makes a 3072, which is about the same size, but I heard that's way noisier, and it also runs hotter than the FE card. It is a little shorter, but it's wider, and like I said, runs hotter and noisier than the FE card. So the FE card is probably the most ideal sort of size to performance ratio that you can get in an ITX build right now, and I'm hoping to utilize that the most with that NR200 build. So stay tuned for that. Also stay tuned for my comparisons. I will be doing a comparison between the 3070 Ventus 3X and the FE to see how much temperatures differ between the two of them, what the distinguishing factors are, whether the fan design is really as good as everyone claims it to be on the FE edition, because my Ventus runs really cool. It's one of those cards that sort of comes with a power limit pre-applied, and because of that, it really runs nice and cool. I've had no issues with it at all, but it'll be really interesting to see how the FE card, which is supposed to be the base minimal spec of what it has to be, how that compares with the Ventus 3X. These two I can actually compare in the same case, in the exact same environment, the same temperatures, and be able to tell you if the FE is really all what it's made out to be. But that's all for now. That was a quick unboxing of the RP Tech provided Nvidia 3070 Founders Edition card. I've gotten it a year after I signed up, and I got really lucky that I was actually on that mail list. And I'm looking forward to doing things with this card, like putting it in that ITX build I mentioned. So stay tuned for my future projects. I can't wait to really dig in and do some cool stuff with this. But that's all for now. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.